Last time we played on Voyager and I died on day 4. This time we're pushing it up to Stalker difficulty because I hate myself. I started in the mountain town since I had done Mystery Lake last time and I figured it'd be more boring for you to see me do the same place twice. I picked male Commander Shepard this time.
We're bang, okay?
If you didn't see the last video, I went in completely blind, but this time I have some idea of how the mechanics work, but I still refuse to look up any maps to show me where to go to find things, so I wandered around and immediately into a wolf. I eventually gave him the slip and went around him and found the church. In here I found a fire, which I started for no real reason, found some loot and food, and I boiled some water and made some bandages while warming up at the fire. I headed down the road and found the bridge into Milton and waved a flare at a dog and then ran at the dog with the flare, realizing it would be more effective. I found a skill book in the post office and started searching the houses nearby, where I found water in the toilet. I surveyed the town and continued looting. I found some tea, some gloves, some cargo pants, shoes, more water, a flashlight with no battery, a storm lantern, a sweater, a hat, even more water, and I discovered a house with a massive stove inside with a cooking book that I was going to make my house. I found another hat, a sewing kit, another sweater, and a parka. Just loads of loot in this town so far. I went out and hunted myself my first rabbit and absolutely nothing happened to it. Then I cooked nothing at the stove as well as boiled up loads of water. I ate my nothing and drank my tea and then went to bed, surviving the first day of the Long Dark on Stalker. Overall, this first day was very different from the last playthrough, because I managed to find a lot more of the points of interest compared to on Mystery Lake, and I got a lot more loot because of that. This definitely feels like the easier of the two starts, but I'd really like to know your guys' thoughts on the other starts. What map do you think I should play in my next playthrough that would be good for a new player still, but maybe not as easy to survive as the mountain town? The next day I went looting again around the town because there was a bunch of houses to loot. I found a safe that I didn't know how to crack at all. I continued looting the town after that and found some raw rabbit in a random shower. I cooked that, and while that was happening I figured out how to repair my clothes, and I went back out and found myself a gun skill book, then another gun skill book in the same area. While searching the town's cars, I found not only one but 2 MREs, which are enough food for a day each basically. I went out to the gas station to the south of the town, but I couldn't get inside without a pry bar, and I didn't know where to find one yet. I tried to hunt some rabbits and got attacked by a wolf again. He got bored and went off to go eat one of the rabbits I was chasing, so I bandaged myself up and went home, where I got some antiseptic and poured it directly onto my wounds, and then went to bed. Day 2, rough, but I did survive. I think it's pretty clear that my biggest weakness as a player is getting around these wolves, because I tend to just kind of absent-mindedly stumble into them, and I am aware that a big part of the Long Dark is memorizing where these wolves spawn and learning to avoid them and manipulate their paths with rocks. I don't know, they always seem to just sneak up on me. If you have any tips for dealing with these wolves, other than just like holding a torch all the time, because that's really like annoying to keep having to make the torches, they don't last very long, that would be pretty helpful. Spent the next morning replacing and repairing the clothes damaged in the attack, and I decided to go back into exploring. I found more houses that I'd somehow missed in the town, and then made my way down to the farm near the town, where I once again got into a confrontation with a wolf but scared it off. I found the pry bar I was looking for at a dead guy in the farm, and I found a pretty good looking decent jacket in the farmhouse as well. Otherwise it was just a bunch of supplies, so I headed home. I went over to the gas station with that new pry bar, but unfortunately I found nothing of note in the gas station aside from food. I decided to check the overlook behind the gas station, and I was attacked by a moose. Luckily I was able to hide inside this little building. He wouldn't leave, but I was safe for now. I don't think his antlers? Moose have antlers, right? That's what they're called? I don't think his antlers would let him inside. I found a skill book in here for harvesting, and I started a fire inside here to warm up and did yet more clothing repair. Since the room was actually warm, I slept in the room and the moose was still there. As a side note, I actually found the moose encounter to be a really interesting piece of like dynamic gameplay, where I was trapped by this natural occurrence that forced me to do like something unusual to survive, right? Like it forced me to not just sit in my house and sleep through the night. I had to make do with what this little shelter had, and I had to find ways to kill time while the moose was just kind of camping me, and I figured if I went outside, it would probably insta-kill me. I've never been attacked by a moose in the long dark, of course, but I know what a moose is, and I know it can insta-kill a person in real life, so I would assume that this game would replicate that, and I would be instantly smacked in the skull with the antler, whatever they're called, things, and promptly killed, which I didn't feel like doing. So I sat in here overnight, slept through it, and then read a skill book, just waiting for that moose to go away. Then the wind started to pick up, which very quickly became a blizzard. So that did scare away all the mooses and wolves, as far as I could tell. So I ran home through the blizzard all the way home, and it was a pretty uneventful run because all the hostiles seemingly disappeared. And when I got back, I put the fire on and cooked some water and then went to bed again. By the way, I'm just jumping into the middle of this video to tell you that if you're enjoying this, please consider leaving a like and subscribing for it. I don't normally make the long dark content because I'm largely a 7 Days to Die content creator, but I would like to branch out into various other games, and the long dark is the one that's really been jiving with me recently. So if you want to see more of this and to encourage me to make more of it, please let me know in the comments and like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Thank you so much. It really does help a lot. On day 5, I finally discovered something you guys were telling me about, the cattails, which can be used for food or tinder, and there's something you guys told me all about in the first video, although I couldn't actually find them when I was looking around. Also, I found a hatchet that I am just sure you were all telling me to look for because it could spawn here, and I got it, so don't worry. Now that I had a hatchet, I began the long hunt in the long dark for finding saplings. You need them to make bows and arrows, and I had still never even seen a sapling, so a lot of exploration followed. I found the crashed bus, which gave me another hatchet. Typical, you wait for one and you get 2 immediately. I also discovered acorns, which I never actually used at all. I made my way back to the overlook where the moose was and found a mountain rope, but I knew going down there I'd die, so I kept looking for saplings instead. I got into another wolf fight, but this one was less bad since I had a weapon this time, but I still had to bandage and disinfect and pain kill. Then I went to bed again to heal again. One thing I'm curious about, and maybe you more experienced players can let me know, is does turning up the difficulty make these injuries more realistic? Does it make it so that if I get attacked by a wolf, is it just like you're dead, it's over if you get that close? Or does it make it so that it's harder to heal the injuries? Because right now, it's very, very easy to keep up on cloth and get bandages and then just, you know, get antiseptic. Maybe the increased difficulty increases the scarcity of loot, and that makes all of these things much harder to obtain, and it makes the injuries much more concerning. Maybe infection is like a big threat in these higher difficulties, but I just don't know yet, and I would like to have, you know, a little heads up on that before I move into interloper difficulty at some point, so please do let me know. On day 6, I went out and finally found my first sapling. They were behind the church all along. These are the wrong ones from what I wanted, but still it was a good sign, and after a little bit more searching, I did in fact finally find my first maple sapling. Now I have to leave it on the floor indoors for like 4 days to actually use it for anything. I spent a fair chunk of the rest of day 6 just gathering wood because I had encountered the #1 killer in the long dark: boredom. I couldn't use any of the new stuff and I couldn't find anything to do. It just became me maintaining myself for survival, and that's fine. I don't have any problems with that because I know the key to enjoying the long dark is to keep exploring these other map regions to find new stuff and have more tension, but I hadn't accepted it yet, so I was kind of just picking the area clean, hoping to kick that can down the road. I went to bed and I woke up on day 7. Is that a 7 Days to Die ref? I decided to commit suicide. Not literally, but I knew I had to explore out of my comfort zone. I think I discovered most of the important regions of this part of the map, and I knew that I was probably going to have to enter a lot of danger that I wouldn't be able to plan for because I'm very new to the game, but I did it anyway. Mountain rope go burr. Unfortunately, the world immediately fogged up and I wandered into it because I wasn't climbing that rope again. I got lost instantly and found a 90-degree sheer cliff face. Naturally, I decided to slide down it. I sprained both of my wrists and both my ankles, but I was able to heal that up by scrapping my headwear and keep moving. I wandered off until I found a car to sit in and warm up. After doing that, I found another one of those godforsaken ropes, which I proceeded to almost fall off of, so I decided to slide back down. I gathered up some more wood, started a fire, set down my bedroll, and then slept for a few hours. I then successfully used all my exhaustion meter to climb the rope. Finding myself with nothing but another rope to climb and a cave to sit in, I did my best noble 6 impression and sat in that cave for some time to warm up, and went back down the rope to get my bedroll because I had forgotten it down the rope. Then I set a fire next to that car I'd found earlier and decided to sleep in the truck once I discovered I was able to do that with a bedroll. Now that it was clear, I decided to go and look around the lake area, and that was when, with no strength left, half my health bar gone, I got attacked by a wolf, and I think I selected the wrong weapon when doing this, and I technically survived, and then almost immediately bled out, ending my run at 7 days survived, which is more than my first try, and this was on a harder difficulty, so that is something. Overall though, even though I kind of threw at the end there, I am much happier with my progress in this playthrough. I am still really enjoying the Long Dark, so let me know if you want to make a video where I compile some of the lessons I've learned from these last 2 playthroughs. It was like 11 hours played, but you know what I mean. As ever, let me know if there's any tips you have for surviving. I know how to survive longer, but I want to know how to stop dying to these fuck-ass wolves so I can really explore the world and encounter a bear so it can rip my intestines out next time for a bit of variety. If you enjoyed this, then why not check out my very first attempt in surviving in the Long Dark. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.